Captain's log.
Person, woman, man, camera, TV. They say, that's amazing. How did you do that?
Would you classify that as a launch problem or a design problem?
Captain's log.
All right. Who wants some? Who's next?
I'm telling you straight. It's my way or the highway. So anybody wants to walk, do it now.
10 minutes, 15, 20 minutes later, they'd say, remember the first question? Not the first, but the 10th question?
To be a moron. To be moronical. An imbecile.
I'm your huckleberry.
Call me Snake.
Like the guy says, you're gonna eat lightning and you're gonna drop thunder.
It's not Irish. It's not English.
How are you? Well, the weather's been kind with the horses, you know.
It's just pikey.
Dr. Evil, I didn't spend 6 years in evil medical school to be called Mr. Thank you very much.
You're real nice. If I didn't have puke breath, I'd kiss you.
Well, it's a well-known fact, Sonny Jim, that there's a secret society of the 5 wealthiest people in the world known as the Pentaverate, who run everything in the world, including the newspapers, and meet tri-annually at a secret country mansion in Colorado known as the Meadows.
So who's in this Pentaverate?
The Queen, the Vatican, the Gettys, the Rothschilds, and Colonel Sanders before he went tits up.
sounds alright. Hold on, turn off the music. Sorry for 1 second there, I was having headset issues, so I'm completely wireless these days. As you notice, I'm wireless mic, which I gotta say, the Pico Gear, Pico Stream mics, when they work, fabulous. The weird little crackling thing that makes me have to swap mics every so often, haven't gotten to the bottom of that yet. Don't know what that is. But when it works, it works. Not quite mustache time. Just too lazy to do a full shave today. Yeah. So it'll last another day, and then that's the problem with being in Nerd Halen and eventually wanting it to take off again. Is it's not exactly like I can go out there with a full Grizzly Adams. You know what I'm saying? So I got my headset. That's all fine in theory if I can actually hear what's being said, and I think that I can now. Butthole! Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good. Sounds good. And it's mainly just being completely. Well, I'll tell you in a second. It's behind the scenes stuff you guys don't need to hear, quite frankly. It's not, it's not. I have to close the door so Murphy doesn't come in the middle of the show. Sorry about that. And it's not because we don't want Murphy in here. It's just that I just have a soft spot for cats in such a way that in the middle of it, thank you, Brian David. In the middle of it, if he comes in, I'm going to give him the attention no matter what's going on. And there's a lot to cover today. So I didn't even have a chance to, let me see. Did I set it up? Hold on. Well, bonk. Yeah, I did. Okay, he's set up. All right. So check out my sweet setup. Camden's awesome today. Thank you, Amy. And by the way, thank you for your letter as well. And appreciate the super chats. That was very sweet. So hello, Badwolf. What's happening, people? How's everybody in the world of Twitch? There's a couple people over there gathering in. Everybody's je sens frontier, as you would. And good to see you guys. Hey, Flang Doodle. Hey, Ninka24. Thanks, everybody over there. Thanks, Nancy. Everybody in the, well, I was about to say everybody at Facebook, but we all know that's not true. I would think it's sort of an 80-20 rule when it comes to Facebook. 80% of you are here, even if you disagree, to have a reasonable conversation and go back and forth on some topics, and perhaps maybe venture into the world of the other side of the political conversation and in what's relatively safe space to kind of ask some questions, see what's what, test the pillars, as it were. And then 20% of you are QAnon maniacs whose total lack of drive and discipline in their own life have driven them to shouting at strangers in chat rooms on private pages to which they have to like or subscribe to actually even be made aware of exist. It must be a tough existence. I'm sorry for you, but I appreciate the eyeballs because the social media gods don't care whether you like me or not. So that said, I want to thank all of our Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome. I am always inspired by the fact that you guys are there. It's a beautiful thing. A little over a year ago, we had 6 subscribers. We now have over 310. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You guys are fantastic, and you're what make this show possible. Because you're why I have the microphone, and the camera's pretty decent now, and we have all this neat stuff where I can do that. I'm just going to keep doing that because it's just awesome. So, appreciate you guys a lot, and thanks for watching Lab Rats, and I appreciate everybody who, I noticed somebody in the chat earlier was saying that they've just started binging Queer as Folk. It's a good show to binge in this. If you're a grown-up, if you're a kid, binge Lab Rats. See, I got something for everybody. If you're not, yeah, we have 310. Woohoo! And our regular Super Chat supporters, you guys are amazing. I'm constantly floored. Did anybody, before we get started, watch the John Lewis, I guess the process of bringing him in before he was, before the viewing and the singing? And I have to say, I was really worried about the soldier who keeled over in the line. I don't know if you saw that. One of the Navy guys, I think, he was in Navy dress. He was in all whites. Passed out. Good Lord. And it seemed like a COVID-related thing because the dude was huge. But they were all also standing in the heat at attention. It's a very important moment. Like, it was... When I saw people running, I was like, yeah, people don't run at stuff like this. That's not good. So he just hit it. Thanks, Amy. That poor guy. I'm often distracted by work requirements during the show. I completely understand, Carl. It's a good thing to be distracted by, and count your blessings. I feel for that dude, and I feel for all the Navy guys who are going to catch crap from the other arms of the armed services because they're going to totally mock them. I just know that. How come no one is talking about the Russian mercenaries showing at American soldiers in Syria? You mean shooting at? We have. Although we will get to that even further on the Saturday show. But I appreciate you bringing it up, Alex. And thank you, Raphael. Called you this weekend, didn't get on. What would say to parents that can't get off work to distance? Let's see. Called you this weekend, didn't get on. What would you say to parents that can't get off work to distance school their kids in a nice way? I would say deal with the fact that your school, talk to your school board, call your governor, and while they work that stuff out, form a neighborhood group from like a 4 or 5 house neighbor group where if other kids have those kids, you can rotate who's watching. If anybody has, if there's a stay-at-home mom in the neighborhood or a stay-at-home dad or a stay-at-home, work-at-home couple that doesn't mind a visiting kid, depending on the age, maybe start your own kind of local gaggle thing and then pass it around the neighborhood. I mean, this is extreme circumstances call for extreme measures, and so that would be my advice. Find a college kid that's home. That's not a bad idea as well, especially a place with like older kids that are pretty decent. Honestly, you're just extending hours of a babysitter or you could hire one of the kids in the neighborhood who wants to tutor as a long-term tutor for 4 hours a day or something like that. I mean, there's a lot of that. So yeah, those would be my primary ones. Who else watched I mean, I gotta say, the Amazing Grace moment in the John Lewis viewing was brutal, and I wept. No shame in that whatsoever. It was a beautiful moment. I have to admit, when he started humming the beginning of it, I was like, is he finding the note and making sure he knows where he is? I was like, are they doing a special hum version of it where he does, because he did a whole verse basically, and then he started the song, and it was just, I mean, it was heart-wrenching, just beautiful. So yeah, I'm trying not to get I felt it creeping up again. I felt the tears coming. I pray that they name the bridge after him, and I think naming the Voting Rights Act after him would be spectacular and not only good policy but good politics as well. He's an extraordinary man, and I look forward to his statue in the House building in the Capitol. I think that would be a fantastic move on their part, is to put him in there, as because that's the one thing I think we're learning about these statues, as in the argument that goes forward, like nobody is really arguing, not in any legitimate sense or even in a way that charts, that you remove people simply because they grew up in a time when things like slavery were normal, and then they operated in an aspirational way, hence like the founding fathers and other people like that. Or even like relating Christopher Columbus to American history in the practical sense, since he discovered big chunks of South America too, and discovered, but you know what I mean, and was effectively working as a mercenary on behalf of a royal family. So not exactly in line with our ideals as a democracy, and certainly no Confederates, because they were actively trying to undermine our our union and our mission statement, effectively, that all men are created equal and that we are trying to move towards a more perfect union. And they were trying to decimate that union and make sure that people weren't created equal. Like, they were fighting on behalf of that idea. So not so much them, but imperfect people trying to perfect their path over the course of their life, because these are aspirational human beings who looked beyond the limitations of their time. And that's one of the reasons why we revere the founding fathers, was looking past the decades they lived in and the way they were brought up, quite frankly, the normalcy of life around them, to create something that was so abnormal in the world, because most of us can't fathom a life without democracy existing in the world. And they basically invented it from scratch. Why would you even go there? You know, everywhere else, I mean, they were so afraid that George Washington would act as a king, just simply because that's what you did back then. That was it. That was the plan, right? So John Lewis could be one of those people that is an aspirational human being, not just in his activism as a young man, but his power as a legislator as he grew older, and the course of his life, and the depth of his Christian beliefs, and his belief about nonviolence that quite frankly, he held at a higher standard almost than the people he learned it from, and Gandhi himself. Because Gandhi wasn't beat up repeatedly. He was jailed, but there wasn't a whole lot of, there wasn't 3 or 4 fractured skulls in the Gandhi movie, as I recall. I mean, he was shot at the end, but it was, by a separatist. It's a little different. But, when it comes to the idea of nonviolent protest and good trouble, which is a beautiful phrase, John Lewis, I think, holds, quite frankly, a higher standard than Gandhi, because Gandhi took quinine for himself and didn't give it to his wife, even though she was sick with the same thing, and she croaked because she didn't deserve it. And there was some, and again, these are people who grew up in a different time, so we're normalized to the equality that we understand today that did not exist when they were little children and being taught every single day. So I think a statue of John Lewis in the house is an aspirational statue. So you walk into the house where you take an oath to serve, you're elected to serve your constituents, and every day as you pass through the other statues that are there, having one of John Lewis as an aspirational moral human being going, we are all incomplete. We are all on a path to bettering ourselves all the time. And we all have moral and physical failings that dog us over the course of our lives. But the idea is that we keep marching forward to getting ourselves in a better place, right? And I think John Lewis is one of those people who just represents that in such a clear way, it's hard to dodge. It's modern. It's not, you can know that about Ben Franklin and George Washington and Thomas Jefferson and the like, but you, in the abstract, because they lived hundreds of years ago. But Lewis lived with us for, and maybe 200 years from now, he will be, an abstract, an inspirational abstract. But right now, I think he is a personal representation for a lot of people of the best you can be when you go to serve in the house. And having them walk past that, as a Mason, you can stay a 3rd degree Mason, which is your standard Blue Lodge. If people don't know that, there are really only 3 degrees in Masonry, and you aspire to those, and then that's it. And then there are ancillary bodies you can join: the Scottish Rite, York Rite, which have all the other degrees, which are, in some people's minds, more club-like or educational, depending on which one you're talking about. But the 32nd and 33rd degree stuff, that's all Scottish Rite ideas. And when you learn the first 3 degrees in Masonry, you study them like you're going to law school. It's a lot. The later ones, you don't study so much as see. You see a presentation of one of the degrees. And then it is said that you have that degree. And the reason they do it that way is because if somebody knows you're a 9th or 10th or 12th or 15th degree Mason, they mean you've seen all of those degrees. And you can't lie and say you didn't know that you should live up to this moral level. If you've seen all 15, the first 15 degrees, you can't behave in a way that is spoken of in allegory in the preceding degrees, because you saw it. We all know you saw it. We saw it too. We know you know that type of behavior is bad. So don't do it. You can't plead ignorance. You've seen it. And in many ways, a statue of John Lewis is, I think, would be a similar like motivating force for people. You see that statue, you walk by it every day. You can't pretend you don't see it. And you know what he went through, and you know that he ultimately became a member of this body and served a very long time with honor. And you can't skate by and feather your own nest and line your pockets and pretend you didn't walk by a statue of John Lewis every day. That's my feeling about it. So I'm for naming the bridge after him. Yeah, Trump can't be a Mason. He would never be able to be a Mason. He would not be allowed. For many of the same reasons that someone like Epstein would not be allowed. I'm just saying. Yeah, we frown heavily on crimes of moral turpitude. So, yeah. But having that John Lewis statue there in the house would be a beautiful thing. So I look forward to them doing that. And not like, I don't mind if they put one outside, in his hometown, if they put one in, his district, that's fine. But I think there's something to having one of them in the house would be really a beautiful thing. So yeah. That's like, right. So that's my 2 cents on that, and I'll stop before I get teary-eyed. Love Rabbits, did any of the cast not get along? Please, we need new episodes. No, we all got along. It was all good. Lovely people. Good times. Silly fun. All good. Fear not. And it's not up to us. We would love to have her. So there you go. So there we go. Let's start with this. So this is Trump speaking. Where is he speaking? He's at a treatment research facility in North Carolina, a state he is currently losing, that he should win hands down as a Republican. He's in fill your diaper mode. So which is where all the places he's hitting. Like, this is the point in the campaign season where you would start breaking out into expanding your map, okay? Let's be abundantly clear about that. In any other circumstance, Trump knows this, his campaign knows this, Biden knows this, every politician who bothers to care knows this. And Trump is battening down the hatches in states he should walk away with. It's super embarrassing. So anyways, here we go. And of course, you can't walk up and leave the friggin' mic alone, which was set for his height, but whatever you do.
So much success, and we love being here.
Thanks, Bronwyn Fox.
And we're here actually today to discuss the exciting progress that we've achieved under the Operation Warp Speed.
Uh-oh. Operation Warp Speed.
Captain's log.
Captain's log. Sitting in the bowl. I've dropped a deuce. Called Operation Warped Greed.
Our historic initiative to develop, test,
Thanks, Lipshit.
manufacture, and deliver a vaccine in record time. And that's what it is, in record time.
Record compared to what? What, AIDS? Which was not a standard coronavirus? What? Beating what, H1N1? Guess what? You're already behind schedule. H1N1 hit in May, had a vaccine in December. What record are you talking about? And one of the ways they're speeding up this process is dropping the efficacy rules so that it only has to create a positive effect 50% of the time against placebo. So if it goes 50-50 with a placebo, Trump's FDA supports it. That's a win. So just understand that when he says, you know, winning, what they grade as winning, like, so a base hit is a home run is effectively what he's talking about.
Likewise,
Thanks,
therapeutically,
Christina.
we are very, very advanced. You're hearing about it, and you'll be hearing about it a lot more in the next 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, the next 2 weeks. How far off are we from this major health plan? Is that this week?
We will achieve it.
It's got to be here by what, Thursday?
Victory over the virus by unleashing America's scientific genius, which is what it is.
It is. It's so genius. It says every word that's on here, I'm just going to say is true, so you know it's true, because I said it was true after I said true things, so you know it's true, because you are genius. It is genius that's American genius. That's why we're more than likely going to use the Oxford vaccine, and why the South Koreans discovered remdesivir works, and why dexamethasone, the steroids, are something the British NHS discovered.
I'm therefore proud to announce that this morning the Moderna vaccine has officially entered phase 3 already, and that's phase 3 clinical trials, the final stage before approval.
So we just skipped phase 2?
There's never been anything like this in terms of speed, nothing even close. A second
Yeah, we'll see if it works, asshole.
vaccine is likely to enter phase 3 in a matter of days under Operation Warp Speed.
I don't understand.
Captain's log.
We've shaved years off of the time that it takes to develop a vaccine,
And see if it's safe and see if it works.
in some cases many years.
What do you mean you mean versus AIDS?
And we've done it well.
Like, this is it. He's literally using like AIDS as the standard for an antiviral treatment. Because he knows Obama already kicked his ass during H1N1 and ended up getting the shot at Christmas.
Maintaining the
H1N1 didn't even hit its stride until mid-July, August.
FDA gold standard for safety.
Yeah.
This is the
That's why we knocked out 3 months out of the process.
fastest
You know, that whole safety part.
a vaccine for a novel pathogen.
A nubble. It's a naval pathogen. It's in your stool.
Captain's log.
Ever gone. It's never gone like this. And if you look at where we are by phase 3, we can say ever gone by far.
We can say ever gone by far. I just did. Doesn't mean anything. Ever gone by far. What?
4 additional promising candidates are expected to enter final trials in the coming weeks, including the Novavax vaccine being developed right here at this facility. It's an incredible facility.
Dude, tell you what. You get all of your followers to take the vaccine, and then all of Nick Cannon's weird racist crowd, get them to take it, and like get the crazy militia types to say it, and then get all the Antifa crowd to take it, and they'll be your guinea pigs. Knock yourself out. You convince them, then we'll talk.
We're going to be making a tour in a little while. Very complete tour with.
Oh, it's a complete tour. So you're going to see the turlets, and you're going to see under the tables. There's a lot of gum under here. A complete tour. What, are you going to fondle everything while not wearing a mask like you did at the mask factory?
Folks that run it and the people that operate.
I'm going to see almost every people that works here.
We've just completed a tour of Fujifilm's.
Fujifilm. Oh, that's good. How do you feel about, do you call it cinema or do you call it film? Fujifilm. Come on. Film?
Laboratories, and that's going to be done at much higher level in a few minutes after I'm finished, and I believe we'll take a few questions too.
I don't know what that. Would anybody get that? Anybody understand what the fuck that was? Wait.
Done at much higher level in a few minutes after I'm finished, and I believe we'll take a few questions too.
Yeah, I have some questions. I have a question. What are you talking about? What was that? What do you mean complete tour at a much higher level? It'll happen in a couple minutes, and then you believe there'll be a couple of questions too? You've either decided to take questions or you haven't. But what? And what the shit is film?
Which we're carrying out a crucial biomanufacturing process needed to make the Novavax vaccine. This production is made possible by my administration's $1.6 billion award to Novavax as part of Operation Warp Speed. It lets...
I don't understand. Operation Warp Speed.
Captain's log.
Award? We pre-bought the vaccine. Award. Did they get a trophy too? Did they get the YouTube silver button plaque? Oh, I want one of those. Like and subscribe, you bastards. What are you doing over at Facebook? You're surrounded by Russians and QAnon nuts. Get over to the Facebook page, the YouTube page and subscribe, you rats. What's wrong with you?
Deliver the final product in a
timely
that
fashion.
Never has been achieved anywhere at any time for anything like this.
What? What are you talking about? Film.
These same manufacturing processes are...
Processes? Ew. Perhaps there's plasma involved. Ew, processes.
...being conducted on an even larger scale in College Station, Texas. Today, I'm proud to announce that HHS has just signed a $265 million contract with the Fujifilm Texas A&M Innovation Center, which is quite the place.
Oh, it's quite the place. Have you been there? It's lovely. Their student union coffee shop is not to be, their South by Southwest blend is the shit.
To dramatically...
Seriously, it's shit.
...expand their vaccine manufacturing capacity. I want to thank Fujifilm...
Okay, I have to look this up. 1 second. Please tell me if this is... Where the shit is he? New window. Open up. There we go. All right. Trump. Let's see. Trump delivers remarks. Fuji. Something. There we go. It'll pop up. The Fuji facility. Yep. Fujifilm Diosynth in Morrisville. Okay. So I'm not... See, this is what a decent human being I am. He said film so many times. I was like, is there such a thing in biotech as film? And I'm just being an asshole? And the answer is both. On the one hand, of course I'm being an asshole. He deserves no better. And secondly, it's not film, you dickhead. It's Fujifilm.
CEO Martin Misa.
By the way, Japanese company.
For welcoming us.
Fujifilm up, come on down here.
Today, and Martin, where is Martin?
Martin.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Wherever you are.
Martin, it's really wonderful to be with you under these circumstances in particular with all the...
It's wonderful to be with you in these circumstances in particular. We're so lucky. I'm so lucky there's a violent pandemic that has killed 140,000 plus Americans. Otherwise, I wouldn't get to see your smiling face.
Progress that's being
Thanks,
made.
Georgina.
As well as Novavax CEO.
That's amazing, Christina. Thank you so much. I'm glad you need it. I needed it as well. I was weeping like a baby earlier at the John Lewis thing, so I needed to kind of cheer myself up.
Stanley Irk. Stanley, thank you very much. Thank you very much for being here.
He's from there.
Thanks also to Secretary Alex Azar, who's with us.
No shit. You'd think he'd be back at the office actually working, but...
Senator Tom Tillis, thank you very much. Thank you, Tom. Stand up, Tom. Good job you've done. Thank you very much. You really have. Representatives Richard Hudson, David Rouser, Mark Walker, Dan Bishop, and Greg Murphy. Thank you. All friends, all warriors. Lieutenant Governor Dan...
Warriors? They lost the House.
Forrest, who I hear is doing a great job. Where's Dan? Stand up, Dan. Great job, Dan. Really good. North
Good job. If any of this goes south, I'm blaming all you assholes. Not my fault. I blame your governor and you.
Carolina House Speaker Tim Moore. Thank you, Tim. Great job. And President Pro Tem of the North Carolina State Senate, Phil Berger. Thank you, Phil, very much. I appreciate it.
Excuse me, it's pronounced Filmberger. Flimburger.
Operation Warp Speed is...
Uh-oh. Operation Warp Speed. Mr. Spock, I don't understand.
Captain's log.
funding a historic portfolio of highly promising vaccine candidates, in addition to our $1.6 billion investment in Novavax.
Now it's an investment. Before it was an award. Now it's an investment. That didn't take long.
We've issued a $483 million contract with Moderna, a $1.2 billion contract with AstraZeneca, a $465 million contract with Janssen, and just last week, a $1.95 billion agreement with Pfizer. Tremendous.
So this is just basically putting money on all the horses to place and figuring you can't lose. By the way, we'll probably all be taking the Oxford vaccine.
This progress is being made with all of those great companies. A groundbreaking agreement with Pfizer includes a guarantee to deliver 100 million doses shortly after the vaccine's approval, almost immediately, with the option to purchase.
Yeah, rush it out there. That's good. So, Republicans, he's your guy. You're going to line up behind a military vehicle in a Walmart parking lot and get your shot from the dude who rushed the vaccine? Is this a man who wrecked the buffet at the Harold Club this morning?
Just an additional 500 million thereafter. Not only is Operation Warp Speed
Captain's log.
accelerating the development of a vaccine, we're also directing a colossal industrial mobilization to ensure its rapid delivery. Nothing's happened like this since the end of World War II.
The end of World War II? What? Which end? You mean when it was over? Or do you mean D-Day? What the shit are you talking about? We are going to strafe bomb the drug right into people's rectums. Operation Warp Sperm. Operation Warped Greed.
Captain's log.
Instead of the usual sequence of vaccine development, testing, and trials, followed by production, our strategy is to conduct these phases simultaneously. So
that's a great idea. Hey, let's start making it before we find out if it works. But there's a reason why we haven't done that way all along.
Everything goes at one time. We're not waiting and waiting and waiting
to see if it works.
It's all going at one time.
Dude.
We have a system that has, I think it's unparalleled, never been done before.
It's unparalleled.
But we suspect it's going to work and work very well. We're mass producing
love
all of them.
By the way, love you guys. Thank you for being here. I would be doing this by myself straight into the interwebs, into the winds of the internet. But for you guys showing up in the chat room, believe me, I do this so that psychologically I can hang on. And I'm glad you find some solace in it. Yeah, good times.
Promising vaccine candidates in advance so that on the day one that it's approved,
the day one,
right, it'll be available to the American people immediately, and we'll probably have a lot for a lot of other people throughout the world. The world is suffering from this China virus.
Are we sharing it with China? Are we going to send them some, or are we just going to be mad?
Dimension of
appreciate it. Yeah. I don't understand.
Operation Warp Speed is
Operation Warp Speed. Captain's log.
Captain's log.
Focus on therapeutics to treat the virus. Over 140 clinical trials are underway, and a number of effective therapies have already been developed and widely delivered, including remdesivir, which is having a tremendous impact. You see that with mortality rates and other things statistically.
Yeah, because we know that proning is better than having people on their belly is better than having them on their back. We know that putting somebody on a ventilator should be a last ditch effort. That the ECMO, I think that's what they're called, right, guys? That running a tube into your femoral artery and oxygenating your blood is one of the ways of getting you back. But two of the cheapest and most efficacious treatments that have come out, dexamethasone and beta interferon, all came out of the NHS in England. Yeah. There's going to basically be, yeah, he's about to say dexamethasone. The beta interferon, they've got a vaporizer. You just breathe it in, and it calms your immune response. Thanks, Mark Henry.
Methasone, convalescent plasma.
Plasma. Ew, 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 he said plasma. We can't miss that. See, dexamethasone.
See that with mortality rates and other things statistically. Dexamethasone, convalescent plasma.
Ew, plasma. Ew, ew, my. Ew, Meta. Could you bring me a glass of plasma? I'll be in the drawing room playing the grand piano. Ew, plasma. It's like the plaza, but covered in blood.
And ew, antibody treatments with.
Oh, plasma. Excuse me, it's antibodies.
Numerous treatments right now that are under study, and I think over the next couple of weeks we may actually have some very positive answers as to that. On July.
Dude, there's positives and negatives coming out every single day. Plasma isn't something we just figured out. Ew, plasma. Ew.
7th, we announced a $450 million agreement with Regeneron.
I want some of the Rock's plasma. Can I get some of that? I could use a little juice in my diet since steroids seem to help so much.
On to begin advanced manufacturing of its antibody treatment, which is currently in late-stage clinical trials. Late stage.
Yeah, kind of like stage 4 cancer, you mean? Asshole, you skipped the second. You left out the part where they take their findings from the first phase and go to the FDA and go, hey, can you check our numbers? You're like, fuck that. Go ahead. Don't worry about it. We don't need to check anything. Just keep pouring it down people's throats. Give us yeah. And screw the placebo part. Just chuck it in people's throats and see if they live. And if more of them live than die, then we'll call it a day. I mean, look at us. We gave hydroxychloroquine to VA patients in comas without them ever okaying it, and nothing happened except the ones that died.
Due to the medical advances we've already achieved and our increased knowledge on how to treat the virus, the mortality rate for patients over the age of 18 is 85% lower than it was in April. Think of that, 85%. And is 25% lower than Europe as a whole.
As a whole, right. So if you knock out like Germany and France and every place with like a functioning government, then as a whole,
in the middle of April, more than
if you take Sweden out of the mix,
22% of all deaths in the United States were attributable to the China virus. As the last week, that number has dropped down. As of last week, it's dropped down to under 7%. To decrease the turnaround times for testing.
Under 7%. 7% of Americans. Think of it.
The first 2 laboratories have been approved to provide pooled testing. Very important. In other words, samples from multiple patients are processed together. They're pooled.
Oh, is that what pooling means? I thought it was like, people would take, it was like a bunch of people taking pool cleaner, like your asshole followers who took, what was it, fish tank cleaning chloroquine?
Now, pool testing will reduce turnaround times by substantially more than 50%.
No, just more than 50%. You don't have to say substantially more. Substantially more is 90%, in which case you would just say 90%. Substantially.
Last week, our Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services began distributing rapid point-of-care diagnostic test instruments to all of the nursing homes in the United States, focusing on the areas of greatest need, which is our elderly and our nursing homes. What we've already sent includes testing instruments to 635 nursing homes for 196,000 rapid point-of-care tests.
Yeah, those are the same ones they use in the White House. By the way, the Secretary of Defense just tested positive, and so did some Marines on his helicopter, and so did a bunch of people in the staff. Those Abbott tests are really killing it.
It's a tremendous amount. You'll get your response and answer from 5 to 15 minutes. Over the next 3 weeks, 1,700 nursing homes will receive an additional 800,000 point-of-care tests. Think of that. The United States has conducted over...
Okay, hold on. I'm thinking of that. Okay.
52 million...
Richest country in the world. I can think of that. I can imagine that. I can imagine that happening 2 months ago.
Tests. That's more than all of Europe put together times 2. Nobody's even close. And
yeah, that's because they've tracked and traced the illness in their countries. They don't have to test as much. They've now got it where somebody outbreaks, they can literally track the people who got it and call them up and go, hey, guess what? You know that church service you went to or that bar you went to? A couple dudes got it there. You might want to stay quarantined for 14 days. We're going to send somebody by to test you, and we'll let you know within 3 days whether or not you have it. It's better than these Abbott swab tests and bullshit you have the time. They give you a false negative a bunch of times. Yeah, so that you walk around thinking you don't have it when you do. So yeah, that's one of the reasons why they don't test as much. South Korea hasn't tested nearly as much as we have. They also have less than 400 deaths.
Please go. It is...
Thank you, Melinda, by the way, and Mark. Appreciate it. And Georgina during a Zoom call. Oh, my gosh. I'm on your television. Wow. I'm glad I got a better camera. Thanks, patrons.
As an example, India is up to 11 million tests. We're going to be very shortly at 55 million tests. India has 1.4 billion people.
Yeah. What percentage of their population live in poverty? Abject poverty. India, for all of its blessings and its cultural worth, has a problem with public defecation. Not necessarily the standard you want to hold to.
Through our relentless efforts, we've completely rebuilt our stockpile, which the previous administration depleted and did not.
And I left empty for 3.5 years, allegedly, even though there was tons of shit in there. I just let it rot. Thank you, Richard.
Refill. The cupboards were bare.
And I left them that way for 3.5 years.
Say it often. In total.
And we know you say it often. It doesn't become more true the more you say it. I know that Goebbels book you read, bullshit you into thinking that was true, but that only works with weak minds, which, explains your base.
We've now distributed nearly 100 million N95 masks, 35 million surgical masks,
right.
15 million face shields, and much, much more.
And by we, you mean the state of California and the state of New York buying most of their own stuff?
In addition to that, ventilators, the most difficult thing of all, we are now building.
They're not the most difficult thing of all.
Thousands a month, and we're distributing. We have all we need in our country, but to other countries that are in desperate need.
Yeah, and they're not going to use them for this.
Other countries are having a tremendously difficult time.
Yeah, they're going to use them for stuff like tuberculosis and trauma.
And with the virus. Last week, FEMA sent additional personnel, protective equipment to over 15,000 nursing.
Personal personnel? What?
All we need in our country, but to other countries that are in desperate need. Other countries are having a tremendously difficult time with the virus. Last week, FEMA sent additional personnel, protective equipment to over...
Personnel protective. Okay, good. So if you're an employee, you can wear it.
15,000 nursing homes, including 643,000 pairs of protective eyewear, 7 million masks, 34 million pairs of gloves, and 6 million gowns. It's a lot.
Yeah, not if you're fighting a pandemic, it's not.
Over the weekend, cases in Florida, Texas, and Arizona held steady. And
just here's a question, real quick. How much PPE has the government of Italy sent out to their people? I mean, and I understand it's a population thing, so let's just go per capita.
And you know, when you say per capita, there's many per capitas. It's like per capita relative to what?
I understand that, but let's, you know, relative to the amount of per capita in terms of how many hospital beds we have, how many doctors, nurses, and hospital staff we have that have to keep these places running, like janitorial staff, the people who are doing testing outside, volunteers.
Are now heading down. In Arizona, they're heading very substantially down and rapidly. We've been
just add an adjective to everything.
And in constant communication with the states and are surging them resources when requested. They largely had what they needed, but anything they need, we send them immediately.
Yeah, they haven't been asking for anything because they know we'll either we got 100 of these, we need another 100, and they'll go, you have 100, we're going to come get 50.
We are totally full. We have everything we need. We get it to the states immediately. We deal with the governors.
Or they get it themselves. California, New York, Florida.
Relationship with the governors has been very good.
Yeah, now that you're sending shit to states you like or you need for re-election.
These states are not out of the woods, but rigorous compliance with guidelines should allow them to turn the corner very, very quickly.
Oh, yeah, super quick. Yeah, you're going to turn the corner. Don't even worry about it. I mean, Florida, Texas, California, I don't know what you're worried about. I mean, just hang out for a couple weeks and you're good. I mean, honestly, I don't know what you're worried about. Eventually, it'll kill off just, you know, a couple of your constituents, whatever. Get back to normal. Open it up.
We are working with every governor and health commissioner across the country to bring a complete individualized analysis.
To bring a complete. All right.
To each
I never felt the word bring needed an R. I mean, I agree.
State, as well as tailored recommendations. States are different. My administration is also closely monitoring the surging caseload in Latin America, which is now the region in the world with the most active reported infections by far. Due to the relative scarcity of testing in Latin America.
Please brag about your wall right now. Please, please brag about your wall.
However, the region's reported number of cases is also likely to be dramatically undercut or undercounted. And I can say that's probably true throughout the entire world.
Did you just make up the word undercut and undercounted? So it was undercounted, but you just put in undercut and moved on as if?
However, the region's reported number of cases is also likely to be dramatically undercut or undercounted.
Either one, undercut.
I can say that's probably true throughout
you could say whatever you want.
Entire world. We report our cases. Most of the world doesn't. They either don't do testing, therefore they have very few cases, even though people are sick, or they just don't report and give it.
Wait, is it a hoax that's rolling across the world and there are a lot more cases than are known, or did the tests themselves cause the cases? Make up your friggin' mind.
The reality of
Good
what
grief.
we just said, we're focusing aggressively on the Texas
There is no reality to what you just said.
border and countries that we think have to be watched very, very carefully because you have some very, very highly infected countries outside of our borders. I've spoken with Governor.
Yeah, that's not our responsibility. I mean, it's nice once we figure something out if we could send it to them, but telling it, basically using it as an excuse that like Latin America is going to shit, so hey, we haven't got it that bad, is hardly a standard that you would set if you were a leader or you were all about winning.
Abbott, terrific.
Templeton, you is same kind of gibberish, you know, same relative bullshit, although now it's specific bullshit about the vaccine. We're in third stage trials of when vaccine trials have 3-month increments, and it's only been 3 months, and we're already in the third. So we're just doing the regular 9-month minimum trial, just taking the middle one out and pretending we only need half of the third one. So that's really only, other than that, completely normal. And don't you worry, every Republican in this country is going to do their duty for God and their country to stand behind a military truck and get their shot. 'Cause I'm proud to be an American where they rush a new vaccine.
Gentlemen, and I can report that over 3,300 federal personnel are on the ground in Texas. We've
Why? I thought it was a hoax.
given them a tremendous amount of extra help, including doctors, nurses, frontline people.
What do you need those for? I mean, it's like it's bending very quickly. I mean, these governors, you just said a second ago, they can bend it very quickly. And why do they need all these military I don't understand.
We've supplied Texas with more than 2.5 million gloves, 800,000 goggles, 337,000 surgical gowns, 1.8 million surgical masks,
and a burning pile of PPP.
1.36 million N95 respirators.
I'll get that in a second. Who has an old-fashioned phone? Is there a military strike being called in? Is that the red phone? What the shit was that? Listen to this. Listen.
1.36 million N95 respirators.
Tell them I'll call them back. You know what? You know what? Let the machine pick it up.
500,000 KN90 masks.
KN90? Well, that's new. Hang on there a second. 1 second there, Chief. KN90 mask. That's some nice stuff. Look at that. There's KN90 and a KN95. We're now doing the 3M is making those. Those are the new ones with elastic ear loops. Oh, so much better. 3M, that's the 9001 KN90. They got double loops in the sides. I mean, those things are $250 a piece retail. Bulk discount, obviously. So we're not paying $250 for that bullshit. Let them cough, right? Let's see. They're $250 a piece. But let's say I'm buying, I don't know, 1 million. Whoops. Check how much that is. Add to cart. Math question. Oh, yeah. Maybe asking for 1 million was too much, or maybe. Let's see that. Add to cart. Let's see. How many is that? Yeah. So, oh, that's nice. So if I order 1 million, it knocks the price down to $1.95. That's 50. You know, that's a fifth the price. Knocked right off the top there. So, it's only 1,950,000. I wonder if they take PayPal.
Beginning this week, Texas hospitals will receive.
By there's some really sweet KN95 masks. I don't know why we're not going for those. They look badass. They're like, they're dark gray. They have a real kind of like, it's like something the Mandalorian would wear under his helmet.
500 cases of remdesivir.
All of it in the world, basically.
Which has proven very effective.
500 cases. How many shots are in a case? How many treatments in a case? Do we have any idea? Or are we just supposed to have our minds boggled by 500 cases? Isn't that 100 cases more than the bandit got of Coors beer when he took it across state lines?
I gotta barbecue your ass in molasses!
Say about 400 cases.
Enough to treat 3,200 patients. In addition to the...
Wait a minute. 500 cases is enough to... How many?
Receive 500 cases of remdesivir, which has proven very effective. Enough to treat 3,200 patients. 500
cases of remdesivir treats 3,200 cases. Of good Christ. 3,200 people. We've lost 140,000 so far. Good God.
In addition to the cross-border spread, this stage of the pandemic is being fueled by younger Americans who generally have little risk of being seriously harmed by the... disease, but can spread the disease.
Oh, really? Yeah. You know who's been saying that for fucking months? Me. And every Democrat and every city manager, every city council, except for, in red districts, like, I don't understand anyways. You got to cull the herd. You can't save everybody. You work in America.
We need all Americans to be conscious about
reading with his friggin' finger again. This is if he'd have said this 2 months ago, he'd be winning the election. That's the dumb part of this.
their actions and to exercise extreme vigilance.
Oh, extreme vigilance. And it should be very extreme, so extreme.
I trust all Americans.
500 cases for 3,200 people. That's like all the remdesivir in the world, too. There's all these news stories in The Guardian and stuff that we bought up all the remdesivir and nobody else can get any. And it ends up being 500 cases, and that's 3,200. What are you?
Americans to do the right thing, but we strongly advise everyone to especially focus on maintaining a social distance, maintaining rigorous hygiene, avoid large gatherings and crowded indoor bars, and wear masks when appropriate.
Wait, when appropriate? You mean whenever you can't socially distance and you're out in public? Unless by appropriate you mean, only wear, don't wear a white mask after Labor Day, or don't wear one if you're in, being tear gassed, I suppose. But what?
We also strongly.
Yeah, Roger, it's $2,300 a dose for that. Yeah, well, that's the good thing about remdesivir.
We urge citizens to take extra precautions to shield those at highest risk, which are, in most cases, in many
fat old bastards like you.
Cases, the elderly, especially the elderly with medical problems such as heart or diabetes.
Heart, yeah. Just if they have a heart, he wouldn't know anything about that, but.
But you want to shield them and you want to guard them and you want to protect them from the virus especially.
By how? Wearing a mask whenever you're in public and you can't socially distance.
Especially those that are really targeted, almost targeted, you could say, by this horrible.
No, you couldn't. They're not targeted. The disease doesn't give a rat's ass who you are. It isn't weaponized. Don't anthropomorphize a germ, you dickhead. Like it's laying on a surface going, I hope somebody old comes along so I can crawl up their arm into their nose and murder them. Oh no, a young person touched me. Wherever shall I go? Trump thinks that all the COVID-19 germs are like the sperm in every whatever was it? Everything You Want to Know About Sex, but we're afraid to ask by Woody Allen. Go back. It's a hand job.
Plague, this horrible epidemic, pandemic. America will develop a vaccine very soon, and we will defeat the virus. We will have it delivered in record time.
Yeah, and all of your followers will refuse to take it.
As our visit here demonstrates, and I want to thank all of the people and representatives from the great.
By the way, I don't know if I'll be first out of the gate, but I'll definitely take the vaccine. As a matter of fact, I've been thinking about joining one of the trials, but I'm not the problem. It's the 89% of anti-vaxxers that are Trump's supporters.
State of North Carolina. This is a great place. It's a phenomenal place. And
so you like it, you're saying? So you're saying you need it for re-election, I'm guessing.
We've had so many great meetings and such a great time.
So great. It's great. Apparently it's great, guys. North Carolina, it's great.
I want to drive and the drive and tenacity of your representatives and your politicians has been incredible. When they call, I'm there. When they call, most of them, many of them are sitting here right now. I will always answer their call. So thank you very much. I appreciate.
Hello, is it me you're looking for? Don't close your eyes. Burning. Don't close your eyes.
Appreciate you being here with.
Don't sing your last lullaby.
And let's get on to a few questions.
Oh, let's. Shall we?
Tremendous progress has been made, and
Does he drop a deuce in his diaper every time he does that neck thing?
it's been made rapidly, and it's been made in areas that nothing like that has taken place before. So please, thank you very much.
Yeah, a round of applause for saying stuff is happening at a faster clip because we eliminated all of the safety measures. Good for us. That's great. Cool. While the other states that have been working on this, you know, the countries in the world have been working on this for 4 extra months and have done all the safety stuff, you know, that crowd, yeah, we'll end up taking their vaccine ultimately, but whatever. Jesus.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now time for the fake news to ask me a question so I can whine about things because I'm being treated very unfairly.
Thank you.
There's been a lot of despair when it comes to the virus. Is today's event about giving Americans hope, a sense of
I always give them hope.
optimism? Is that what you're trying to do?
Well, I think so, but you know, there would be not that same kind of hope if we weren't doing so well. We're, you know, just before I left the White House in the Oval Office, we had a meeting with our doctors, scientists, some others, and they're making tremendous progress with respect to
therapies and treatments and cures, and I would rather have those than a vaccine.
therapeutics. I can tell you therapeutically, I think over the next couple of weeks we'll have some really very good things to say.
Oh, it's the next couple of weeks, right after his taxes and the healthcare plan comes out. You know, next couple of weeks. It's not like he's been promising shit to come out over the next couple of weeks for years.
We're just having great answers. So,
have you seen the footage of your wall blowing down? And what the shit is wishing Ghislaine Maxwell well all about? Plus Russian bounties. Anybody gonna go for those questions, you think? Probably not, because this is closed pool.
it is about that, and it's also the vaccine that we discussed today at even greater length is just coming along really well. And it's
Yeah, because you skipped the safety part?
not just one company, it's many companies have
Yeah, in lots of different countries. We tried to buy out the German team.
had tremendous progress. So that'll be announced over the next very short period. Well, I heard very positive things, but by the end of the year, we think we're in very good shape to be doing that. By the end of this year, we're going to be, in terms of the vaccine, I think in terms of therapeutics, even sooner than that. Therapeutics meaning you go and you give somebody, whether it's transfusion or shots or whatever it may be.
Right. So explain how therapeutics work, please.
And
you got this.
They heal, and they heal quickly.
Oh,
so we've had tremendous progress. We already have. If you look at remdesivir, and you look at some...
Yeah, you bought the entire world's supply. It takes a long time to make, and you have enough for 3,200 people in a country of 3.24 million.
Of the other things, but we'll have some announcements
324 million.
on that over the
per dose.
next 2 weeks. Yeah, it is hope, but it's only hope because we've gotten such incredible results.
No, it isn't. You haven't gotten results yet. Shit is in third stage clinical trials, and you skipped the second. And all of the remdesivir and dexamethasone and beta interferon, all of those came from outside the country.
Scientifically, yeah.
You did talk with Russian President Vladimir Putin, and I wanted to ask...
Yeah. He's been in talks with constantly. He's had 7 calls with him in 10 weeks.
If you did bring up the reports of Russia having bounties on our soldiers in Afghanistan.
We don't talk about what we discussed, but we had plenty of discussion, and I think it was very productive. Please.
So no, he didn't. We don't talk about what we talk about. Why not? Why can't you as the president say, I was very concerned about those things. Of course, I brought it up with him. I let them know that if this turns out to be true, there will be serious consequences. I mean, you threatened North Korea with fire and fury like they've never seen before. Like, honestly, I'm going to give him a hand job with no lube whatsoever. Like, it's going to be rough. I'm just saying.
Larry Kudlow earlier today said that the V-shaped recovery is showing signs of moderating. Do you think...
the V-shaped recovery is showing signs of moderating. Meaning, translation, it's not happening.
And what we're seeing with an increase in cases, that the recovery could be in jeopardy at all, the economic recovery?
I don't think so. I think it's going to be even better than before. You're going to have a great third quarter, and the fourth quarter's in next year's.
I think the recovery's been very strong. We've set record job numbers.
Okay, no, you haven't. No, you haven't. I'm sick of doing this one, guys. I'm sick of doing this bullshit. Like, this is as bad as the, if you didn't test as much, you wouldn't have this many cases. If 30 million people lose their job, and 5 million of them go back to work because they were furloughed during a pandemic, they didn't really lose their jobs. They were just put on hold, and they came back. You didn't create 5 million new jobs. You have to be such a moronic, infantile sucker to believe that horseshit. Literally, like, beyond even, like, you want to think, like, you know, lefties and liberals like me, of course, we're going to call attention to this. But go watch CNBC or the Wall Street Journal journalists who are on there being interviewed all the time, or all the dudes on YouTube who talk about stocks, who find this claim laughable.
Set record numbers.
These are people who voted for this asshole, and they're like, I don't even know how you let those words come out of your face in that order.
It's a pure V or a little bit less than that. I think it's going to be very good.
A pure V or a little bit less than that. So this would be a V, and this would be what? A valley. So it starts with a V. And then how far does it go before it's no longer a V? What's this? Is that just a really, maybe you're writing really fast. Maybe that's what it is. I mean, it's kind of V-ish if it's like this and it takes for friggin' ever. I mean, some societies write the U as a V.
If therapeutically we come up with some answers very quickly, which I think we will.
I thought we already did. I thought we already were. I thought it was already happening.
Then you're going to have a tremendous recovery. Likewise with the vaccines. If you do that by the end of the year, that's ahead of schedule, substantially ahead of schedule.
What's the schedule? What's the schedule? The only way you have a schedule of when the antiviral treatments or the vaccine itself is coming up is if you planned this. Let's see. Okay, we'll start. We'll launch the disease in November. It's kind of a soft launch, and we'll really bring it up late. We'll do the hard launch, the premiere, if you will, late January, and then we'll build kind of a groundswell to the point where it's really like a fad, really caught on, and then we'll ride the wave for a little while, and then right about the time it starts losing the public's interest, we'll release a vaccine, and that'll be a spike. Think of it as we're going to reboot the disease with a vaccine, and we've got to do it on a great PR schedule. What the shit is a schedule? There is no schedule. You know what the schedule is? ASAP, dickhead.
And it's ahead of anything that's ever taken place in terms of vaccines before.
You don't know that because you don't know if it'll work. And again, tell your people to take it right now. Direct your people, your followers. Say right now, I know for one thing, whatever the rest of the American people, I know that my supporters trust this process and will take it as soon as it's made available. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? They shit on him for wearing a mask.
I think if those things happen, if just one of those events happen.
Yeah, if one of those events, if I discover, if I can find Rumpelstiltskin and say his name backwards, there's that Mitzel flick. I always get those confused.
You'll go right back into that V, and I think you're probably in the V anyway. I really do believe.
We'll still be in the V. It'll stick. Like, again, we have to go like, okay, write a V for us, Captain Person, Woman, Man, Camera, TV.
A lot of the governors should be opening up states that they're not opening, and we'll see what happens with them.
Gee, why not? What happened to the states that stayed open and blew off all the limitations and the mitigations that we're putting in place? Oh, right. They're spiking like crazy right now.
But a lot will have
Thanks,
to
Carly.
do.
I'm glad you found it too. I'm glad you remembered me. And this is the job right now. Until we go back out and I can tour again and all that stuff. This is the show, folks. These are the jokes. Enjoy it. And if this is pissing you off and I'm I'm being disrespectful to the president and blah, 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 and our flag and our country. If you don't like America, get out. Understand this, and I'll remind you guys every time we do this show. I love this country. I love our system of government. I'm a dyed-in-the-wool Democrat, but if you're a Republican, I want you to survive this epidemic, and I want you to be able to vote. I want everybody in this country who's a legal citizen to be able to vote once they turn 18 years old, and for the extent of their life, to the length to which they want to. But I would encourage everyone to, every single time. I prefer to argue political points fervently, sometimes viciously, as much as I can, but with living people who disagree with me. I don't want you to die. And I care deeply about the presidency and the image of our country, which is why I can't stand this asshat. And he's a second-generation rich kid, carpetbagging asshole who's currently committing voter fraud in Florida.
The fact that therapeutically, I think you can have some great answers. Vaccine-wise, likewise. Yeah, please go ahead.
Based on what? Hope?
Back.
By the way, I thought Obama was the hope candidate. This bastard thing is like a hope it will. We'll see.
Zachary Yates from the Raleigh News and Observer. Now that you've canceled the Jacksonville portion of the RNC, do you think Governor Cooper made the right choice in limiting attendance in Charlotte?
Well,
that's a trick question, because he's where they had to get rid of the thing. So that's one of the reasons why he's back here.
we're actually coming to North Carolina, as you know, and we're having a very major, I guess that would be the nomination night. So that's.
You guess it would, or you do? That's what it was. The delegates are getting together. Also, something you could Zoom, by the way.
Monday.
It's 2020. People don't need to ride in on a carriage over the course of weeks with bags of votes from their states to say you won the primary.
Monday, they're going to be here, and the rest we'll do in a different form. We could have done it many different ways, but I think we did the right thing, and I'm really happy that we're going to be having a piece of it, at least, and a very important piece in North Carolina. Yeah.
Why? What difference does it make? You could make as much positive headway with both your voters and the country if you said, we're going to have a virtual delegate meeting. We don't have to get anybody together. It's 2020. There's a lot of different ways we can get our people together. We will verify this. The RNC is setting up a system. But what we're going to do is I'm going to reach out to all these people and do an individual thing in every single state and thank them for making me their primary choice as a Republican for the nomination. I don't even have to go up there and make one speech. I can talk to each group. We don't have to get together. Not this time. And we will one day if we lock down right now. Christ.
Go ahead.
Mr. President, your poll numbers suffered in recent months because of your handling on the pandemic. You're here now today. What's your plan going forward to prove to Americans that you're the right person to respond?
I think the polls are fake.
Poll numbers are very good.
I think they're very good. I like the fact that Biden's kicking your ass in every state and is beating you by like 2 points in Texas, and you're having to spend money in Texas just to make sure you keep it. Oh, I love the polls right now. Please spend based on the real polls and then talk based on your internal polls, which are really just a cover in case you want to steal the election or pretend it isn't valid.
The poll numbers we have are very good. We're leading in North Carolina.
Yeah, you fired the guy who was showing you the real ones. That's an action. That's a leap of faith right there.
Leading in Pennsylvania. We're leading in Arizona. Or no.
No.
We're leading in Arizona. We're leading nicely in Florida. I think our poll numbers are very...
Does he think... Are they showing him the death counts and just using a Sharpie and scratching out the... I think that's what they're doing. They're scratching out the case rate and the death rate in all these states and writing Trump poll on the top of it. He's like, look at that. It's going straight up. That's sweet. Look how well we're doing in Arizona.
Very good. We're leading substantially in Georgia.
What's that blue line with the skull and crossbones at the end of it? Oh, that's enthusiasm, sir.
I mean, we get a lot of suppression polls. We get a lot of fake polls.
Oh, suppression polls. You know what? In reality, polls that show your opponent kicking your ass actually drive your people to the polls. There's no such thing as a suppression poll anymore. As a matter of fact, most of the time, both sides try to talk down their poll numbers when they're winning, so that because they're worried about people getting lazy.
It's just like we have fake news. I mean, it's a terrible thing when you look at it. But I had the same thing 4 years ago. I was losing everywhere. I had poll numbers.
Yeah, you were both within the margin of error all the time. It was never like this. She was beating you by 1, 2, 3 points, and everybody believed that those were legit. You only won in 3 states. That gave you the Electoral College. You lost 3 million votes. Like, grow up. You didn't kill it. And this time, we're talking 8, 11, 15 points, well outside the margin of error, which is 3 plus or minus.
Why I wasn't going to win any state, and I ended up winning every one of them.
Oh, I didn't realize it was a 50-state sweep.
You know, the swing states. I wasn't going to
win okay, now it's swing
any
states.
of them, and I won all of them. And I have the same thing.
Yeah, that's not going to happen this time. You had a bunch of people rolling the dice on you and going, oh, well, it couldn't possibly get worse, could it? Yeah, it can. If we didn't learn anything from George W. Bush. By the way, have we had a Republican president that's been in office since H.W. Bush, anyways, that hasn't left us with $6 to $8 trillion of debt for their time in office? Honestly. And have we had a Democratic president who hasn't come in after a deficit or a recession or a drop in GDP and corrected it? No. No, we haven't.
This year they have it even closer. They have it closer, but it's the same suppression.
They don't have it closer. It's not any. It was way closer last time.
Anti-polls. We have polls that show me leading in almost every swing state.
Great. Well, tell your people to relax. They can kick back. Tell your folks. I mean, honestly, man, you got so much enthusiasm. I mean, most of your votes count twice because they write an exclamation point after, you know, America, Trump, yeah, like that. That's got to count as 2. I mean, it's 1 person, but it should count twice because they're so enthused. I would say, Trump voters, if you're listening to the sound of my voice and listening to your dear leader, he's killing it right now. I mean, I don't even know why you have to even register. What day? I mean, just make sure you show up to vote December 10th.
And substantially.
I'm kidding. Vote.org, November 3rd.
In other states, by even more than I won in 16. When you look at Florida.
Yeah, keep telling yourself that.
As an example, you have thousands of boats out of the ocean.
Oh, it's boats. Okay, the boat poll.
On the intercoastal. You look at other states where, likewise, you have thousands of boats, and they're all.
The boats. All right, sure. So a lot of Kansas boats, are there?
All waving the Trump sign, Trump-Pence sign, and they're so proud. Thousands and thousands. You've seen it, where you have bikers for Trump with lines that are miles long on highways.
Yeah, I ride a motorcycle. I'm not voting for you. I know a lot of people who ride. I go riding with my friends. None of them are voting for you. We all ride motorcycles.
Going along.
It can't possibly be that calling people. Who needs that? I've seen video on Fox News of assholes on boats.
On weekends. I think there's more spirit now than there's ever been for my campaign.
Great. Yeah. Then I don't know why anybody even has to bother to worry about registering to vote then. I mean, honestly, there's so much enthusiasm, guys. So much.
That includes 2016, where obviously there was great enthusiasm, great spirit. We had
enthusiasms.
Great spirit. I think there's more today because what we've done, nobody's ever done before. Nobody has ever rebuilt the military, cut taxes the most.
Are we going to do VA choice again? Are we going to do this bullshit? Is he going to take credit for Obama signing the VA Choice and Accountability Act of 2014? Is he going to do that again, you think?
In our history, created the greatest economy we've ever had.
Did you come into office when there was a recession and raise the stock market 13,000 points?
Regulations at a level that nobody's ever done. And all of these different things, the VA, we got VA choice.
God damn it. Do we have to do this every frigging time? I'm not going to do it this time. I've done it before. If you haven't seen the stream before, just go look up for yourself. VA Choice and Accountability Act of 2014. 14, for Christ's sakes.
We got VA everything for.
Oh, VA everything. We got VA everything passed. You know, VA everything.
The VA. Right now, they had a 91% approval rating.
Yeah, that's not still holding. That's like the 96% approval rating in the Republican Party. That's actually 67% now.
A recent poll. I was just speaking to this.
Recent 4 months ago.
90.
Before you were confronted with a virus that you allowed them to experiment on veterans with hydroxychloroquine, and a bunch of them died.
Percent in the VA. That's never happened before. I think when people see all that we've done, even Space Force, we created a force.
We created a force in space where nobody can even hear you scream. We've got, I mean, honestly.
Captain's log.
Actual, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, right? It's pretty amazing. Coast Guard, and now Space Force.
We're going to fight where if you throw a punch, you can chuck yourself off into space.
That hasn't happened in 75 years.
We haven't had Space Force for 75 years, since that rocket was launched into the cheese moon and hit it in the eyeball.
What we've done.
In the old film reels.
Working with.
Ladies and gentlemen, and all our ships at sea, today the President announces the birth of Space Force. That's right, we're going to be attaching young men and women of the American Armed Forces to kites and flying them above the atmosphere, hoping some of them don't burst into flames. We'll have film reels of this afternoon, but enjoy the reel, Flash Gordon and the crash at Space Force. They had to change the logo because the people at Netflix who did the Space Force thing stole it and trademarked it.
Some of those warriors over there, by the way. But
by the way, as a Mason, we're going to sue for the new Space Force logo because that's what he got it from.
What we've done has never been done. If you look at Alaska with Anwar, one of the
drilling, okaying drilling in a national wildlife preserve when we have too much oil and gas to the point where we had to reduce our output and talk Mexico into reducing our output, or we would crash the entire energy economy. And this asshole is bragging that we finally got to drill in one of the only places where fresh water gathers.
Perhaps
Christ.
The biggest drilling site in the world.
Yeah, which is moronic.
Even Ronald Reagan and Bush and Clinton, everybody wanted to get it done.
No, they didn't. Clinton didn't want to get it done.
Had it done. Anwar in Alaska, probably or possibly the biggest drilling site in the world.
Yeah, it's dumb. We don't need it. We're already awash in oil. We're a net producer. We're one of the biggest providers in the world, and we don't need it.
No, what we've done has been incredible. Recently, it looked like the energy business was going to be a catastrophe.
Right. Why? Because of too much supply, too much product. What kind of a jackass thinks, I know, you know what would really solve this? We've got too much oil. The Russians and the Saudis are dumping so much oil, there's a glut. We have to talk the Mexicans into dialing back 100,000 barrels a day. I know, let's drill in Yellowstone and cause a mega volcano.
We're number one in the world, and then we had the pandemic, and nobody was using energy. Nobody was driving in automobiles. No gasoline. And by the way, gasoline prices for everyone are very, very low.
Because no one's buying it, and you're not going to make money by putting more of it out there. And we're artificially keeping it low because we filled the national reserves, right?
In many cases, less than $2. That's pretty incredible. And I saved the energy business. I got Russia and I got Saudi Arabia on the phone, and they cut way back, and we're now at $40 and plus a barrel.
No, you're not.
And we're saving tens.
They're on target for over 40 a barrel. You need over $30 a barrel just to keep the industry working at bare minimum. 40 isn't going to do shit. And the Saudis and the Russians just doing this dial back for a while creates a rubber band effect for demand in the global oil markets, so that it can drive the price back up, because the Saudis are cash poor. They're broke. Look at how they're trying to divest themselves from oil as a country. And Russia, that's the only thing they have. He has to protect the oil markets for Russia. He doesn't give a shit about us. If he gave a shit about us, we wouldn't be lowering the amount that we would be putting out into the world. We would have gotten the oil to fill our strategic national reserves for free. People were paying, like companies were paying $30 a barrel or $22 a barrel to store it. They would pay you $22 a barrel to get rid of it. We could have filled the national reserves at that point at that rate. We didn't. He waited until it went back up. And the reason he did is because he allowed our oil companies, private multinational oil companies, to store their stuff in the national reserves and keep it there and then sell it later, and they keep the profit.
Millions of jobs in energy. We're the #1 in energy in the world. So with all that we've done, we made and brought this country to the greatest point in its history. We never had an economy like we had prior to the China plague or China virus coming in. We never had numbers like it. We are going to have them again. And everyone knows I'm going to rebuild it. I had to close it up. We saved millions of lives by closing it. If we didn't close it, you would have seen numbers that would have been 15 times what you have right now.
No, that's if we did zero mitigation. Nobody wore masks. Nobody did anything.
Death is too much, but it would have been 10.
This is one of those things where he likes to claim that if he just did nothing, that's an option as a leader.
15 times, maybe more than that, what you have. We closed this greatest economy ever, far bigger than China, better than China. China was having, by the way, the worst year they had in 67 years, tariff.
Yeah, because of overreach.
They paid us tens of billions of dollars. The worst year they've had, think of it, in 67 years. We were having the best.
Yeah, that's because they're the production point of almost the entire globe
We've ever had. I had to close it, and now we're reopening it. And next year will be stronger. It'll be the strongest year so far.
Now, yeah, as soon as we kill all these weak people, job openings for all the people who had, all those diabetics and people with kidney disease and anybody who has a ischemic stroke from this bullshit, you know, that's just a job opening.
Better even than last year. Okay, thank you very much. I'll be heading back, and I'll see you back at the White House.
Heading back. Bye.
Thank you very much. We're going to take an additional tour of...
Oh, he thinks he already had a tour now. So remember at the beginning when we were going to have a very complete tour? Apparently parts of it were incomplete.
Facility with your great leaders. Thank you very much to the people of North Carolina. We love being here. Thank you.
Operation Warp Speed.
Captain's log. Captain's log.
Oh my God. Well, I'm glad we got all those questions answered. Christ. That's just embarrassing. So, by the way, I want to see if I can find the, let's see if I can find Kudlow's thing, because we still got a little bit of time left in the show today, and I didn't know how long that one was going to be. Let's see. Is this the outside thing? The Flack News Alert. Okay, hold on. I'm going to find out where, let's see, today. Larry Kudlow standing outside, answering some questions. Let's see it live. Where is he? Okay, this is him on Fox. This is Larry Kudlow on Fox News. Hold on.
We're all set to hear about the new stimulus deal.
Oh, don't you know, by the way, and there's definitely a possibility of plasma being brought in my
Later on today, but one provision that will not be part of that is a payroll tax cut.
No, it absolutely will not. It's apparently Mnuchin has already said there's no hope for that whatsoever.
So now we know. Seems like a good...
Yeah, we always knew. Stupid idea. Most Republicans were against it.
Time to bring in Larry Kudlow.
Amy, they cannot. No. There's a thing called the Order of the Eastern Star, which is for women. The idea is that women don't need to be a Mason. Men need it.
Welcome to the program.
Good
to see you, sir.
Thanks, Stu.
Thanks, Stu. I remember when I used to sit next to you. Remember that, buddy? Remember me and you? We used to be able to be at Fox when Roger Ailes ran the place, and they had all those girls running around in short skirts, and they couldn't say dick. Remember that?
We are told that we're going to get 70% wage protection in this next plan, that we're going to get liability protection, that we're going to get $1,200 checks, and that we're going to get a moratorium on evictions. What else is in this thing that you can tell us about?
Just one clarification. The moratorium on evictions, that's for federally financed, Fannie Mae, FHA homes. They're forbearing. They will continue forbearance. So there will be no evictions in that sense. On the other side...
Anybody else, screw them.
On the rental side, we're still looking at that. We're still working through that.
Jesus, this page needs more graphics.
But one important point, the $1,200 checks will, of course, help people avoid eviction. So federally financed single families, absolutely no eviction. They're still in the forbearance stage. As far as multifamily...
So if you have a Fannie Mae loan, you'll get that and $1,200. If you don't have a Fannie Mae loan, you'll get a $1,200 check, and anything that isn't in food and gas and everything else you need to stay alive, medications, I suppose, whatever, the $46 that's left over, you can put that towards your mortgage and still get evicted.
We're looking into that, but the $1,200 checks will provide relief. That's what I was trying to say yesterday.
Oh, why were you unable to say it yesterday? Was it the gin or the vodka?
Is there anything else in this proposal that we should know about?
Kelly.
More checks? Go ahead.
No, I'm just thinking through. You've talked about the wages. You've talked about the checks. There will be increased business deductions for meals and entertainment.
Oh, thank God. Oh, guys, we're cool. We can take members of the board and their friends from their fraternity to the strip club, buy wings, not pay a dime in taxes on that whole thing. Just write it completely off. I mean, it's like free money. You can take those extra dollars, stick them in a G-string. I'm just saying.
The liability restrictions are an absolute must. The 70% wage cap will be in there. That's an absolute must. There are probably a lot of details. There may be a Buy America provision in there.
Yeah, get that past the Republicans.
There may be some other things in there.
Are we going to demolish all of Trump's buildings that were built with Chinese steel?
Look.
Also the concrete.
The president was disappointed, didn't get payroll tax for political reasons. I'm
Yeah, what political reasons? Republicans are against it, you asshole.
Disappointed. I just say this as a bit of an editorial coming from me. At some point, the White House and the Republican Congress, Senate and House, have got to put some investment incentives, tax rate incentives, and regulatory reduction incentives for long-term economic growth. I mean, Stu, you're not the checks may be essential, but the fact is you can't spend your way into long-term prosperity. And I'm hoping over time this summer maybe there'll be additional bills.
Hi, dickhead. Hal Sparks here. You might know me from Hal Sparks radio program Mega Worldwide on Saturdays on WCPT Radio from 9 to 11 Pacific. Or you may know me from my daily stream where I throw your boss's bullshit into a shredder and laugh at what comes out the other side. Real quick question. You're aware we're in a pandemic and that every scientist in the world worth their stuff is working on treatments and a possible vaccine. And so presumably we will actually get those things. But during this time when we don't have it, mitigatory activities are incredibly important. Wearing a mask, social distancing, not going into an office, especially where the disease finds its home in air that is 72 degrees and 20% humidity, which is most office buildings. And so that part of it being temporary, why are we responsible for the long-term investment strategy of Wall Street asshats like yourself when this is a public emergency? If a supervolcano, God forbid, but 2020 is always full of surprises, decided to blow, or Mount St. Helens shut down all the airlines and stuff, and it took us 6 to 8 months to get back up and running, no one would say, why are we trying to spend our way into prosperity? You would just save the people you can, excavate all the dust, find some way to process the waste products, and uncover the dead and give them burials, and then secure the area around it and make sure it's not toxic so people can rebuild again, which would take a couple of years. For those of you that live through Mount St. Helens, you'll be aware of this. Or say Chernobyl, where you have like radiation coming across the atmosphere from another place, or the fish from Fukushima Daiichi, where you had, you know, glow-in-the-dark tuna being served at sushi restaurants in Seattle for a while, that kind of thing. None of us would be worried about the 10-year bond yield because it's an emergency. And when you talk like that, people just recognize you're an asshole.
Certainly the president.
Hasbro's down. Carnival. We're worried about, look guys, cruise lines are down. Gee, I wonder why.
President's reelection campaign. We simply must talk about investment incentives for entrepreneurs, large and small businesses, and more regulatory rollback, which the president himself.
More regulatory? What kind of regulatory rollback? You mean like if I was developing a vaccine in my garage and I could just skip 3 months of the process? I mean, shit. How do I know I haven't already made one?
Is very, very keen on. I just want to put that in there. We're not the Democratic Party, and
no, you're not. You don't actually have a plan. You're not cohesive. You don't put bills together. You design all your legal arguments in front of the Supreme Court with crayons and hammers. You talk out of your ass.
You know, FDR's Treasury Secretary in 1939, Morgenthau, after 10 years of spending, testified before Congress, and he said, he admitted, all the spending we've done hadn't made anything better. So there's a bit of a lesson there.
But
the idea was that in 1930, when the crash happened, no one's life improved because of the strategies they implemented in the next 10 years, in 1939. So how did they get better? Just accidentally?
Democrats have enormous leverage here.
Oh, they totally do. And if I know a thing or two about American politics, let me tell you right here, as a rich Brit who came over here for the intellectual property rights protections.
Going into an
and you can't be fined for hate speech over here. It's a different thing.
election 3 months away. You want to secure a win for President Trump. That might mean you got to spend some more money, and the Democrats really want you to spend a lot more than $1 trillion. They've got the leverage here to push that through.
Yeah, they do. And why is that? So people don't die, and you don't have a wash of homelessness right before you get up there and try to vote. Yeah? Because I'll tell you what, 30 million unemployed people don't have to worry about missing work to go vote. And a lot of them are newly unemployed, so they've registered to vote, haven't they? Oh yes, they've still got addresses, even if they get evicted.
Well, you know, they have a lot of asks, interest group asks.
Interest groups, yeah, friggin' interest groups, like nurses and shit.
More teachers spending money.
Teachers spending money, it's the worst. Guys, why can't teachers learn from the military to pinch their pennies? Come on.
I don't want to go through their litany. That's not my intent today, but...
Oh, yeah. You don't want to go off into a cul-de-sac of bullshit where you crap on teachers for a little bit in the middle of a pandemic where you're about to send teachers back to school with kids that can carry the virus, but only occasionally die horribly from it.
I will just say this. $3.5 trillion increase doesn't make any sense to me. Most reasonable people, these are things that the Democrats...
Most of this is loans. Most of it goes right back into the economy. Explain yourself.
Have been asking for many years, and certainly for the March stuff was rejected in March. I do not think they will get that. There has to be some prudence. But the most important thing,
dear Prudence,
look, we want to keep the schools open. We want to keep the businesses open. Okay, let me just dwell on that for a second.
Yeah, do that. We want to keep the schools open. We want to keep the businesses open. Okay, they're not open. Schools aren't open. It's friggin' summer. Still July, isn't it? Is it still July? What the frickin' day is it? Yeah. Can Gilbert Gottfried play him in the movie? What I want to dwell on.
But we want to create jobs. The whole point here.
You're not creating jobs. You want people to be able to go back to the jobs they had. So that's what we're trying to fix. You're not creating any new jobs, okay? You're not doing that right now. There's no expansion. If a new job occurs, people who don't have a job because they lost that job are going to that job. They're not. This isn't like, oh, screw it. I don't need to go back to the job I had. I'll just hang out while this person takes the new job. If there's a job you can fit into, people are going to laterally jump over to it. Any new job you create is going to be filled by somebody who lost the job that existed before that hasn't come back. So, I mean, any idiot can see that. Like, this is basic math. 1939 with the Fed chairman saying, Jesus Christ.
Is kids and jobs.
Ew. You might want to talk to your boss about Ghislaine Maxwell then.
Right, kids and jobs.
Yeah, we got that the first time. Stupid.
Now, with safety and health guidelines, right? The masking, the distancing.
Yeah, because toddlers and middle schoolers and elementary school kids, they're great at social distancing. Bunch of booger eaters.
The testing and the hygiene. That is going to be the key to opening up the schools and the businesses, okay?
The businesses.
And the businesses.
And the business. If I say everything twice, you'll know I mean it.
So health comes first and safety comes first, and it's integrated with the economic story. I'm just saying that my V-shaped recovery forecast, which is still intact, needs some.
He got yelled at by the president in a phone call right before this one, so he's back to saying the V-shape.
Help on the safety part, but it also needs some help on the investment part. We have to signal to large and small businesses that we will reward you for investment, and we should signal the workforce, the heroes who have been working, as well as those moving.
Great. Tell you what, I would love to open a comedy club, and I plan to launch it next spring. I just need a $4 million loan that I get to forgive half of it and doesn't require any payments until this time next year. And if you can arrange that, which you won't, couldn't, and I can't imagine you even give a shit about, that would be immensely helpful. I would gladly invest that into a comedy club and put that together. But until then, I'm on planet Earth. Yeah.
That there'll be incentives. We do have the retention credit for incentives, and we do have a reemployment credit for incentives to go back to work.
Yeah, but if people don't feel safe going back to work, they're not going to go back to the paycheck they had before just to get sick.
Can I put it like this?
I don't know, can you?
If you don't...
You mean may I? Use the Queen's English or shut the fuck up.
Get classroom-based teaching, you don't get a V-shaped recovery.
Right. Well, actually, you can put together a system that isn't classroom-based, but it will take a strategy, yes. And you can't do 2 days a week. You might as well do it all from home and let parents find another system. They're not going to drive their kids someplace 2 days a week and the rest of the week is normal. You forget which day it is. Like, Christ, is it Tuesday or Wednesday? I don't know. I'm day drunk just like you, Larry. I don't know where I am.
Well, the classroom teaching thing, look, I don't fundamentally, I agree with the thrust of what you're saying. I don't know whether that affects the economy.
It does. And that's why there's not going to be a V-shaped recovery, dipshit. That's what he's trying to set you up for. He's trying to help you. He's an asshole too, but he's being realistic because he was raised British. You know, keep calm and carry on and all that and that.
Fall or not. I think it might. I think it's a fair point. I think, you know, besides the psychology and besides the education of teaching kids in school, which is very important, and people...
Shut up and never say anything again as long as you live.
Nutrition's almost everyone's saying that. There's an economic component here. If the kids stay home...
Really? An economic... Why would you be bringing that up? Look, dude, that's education stocks they have up on. K-12 Inc. stock is down 47. Chegg, whatever that is up 70.06. It's up 6 cents. Woo! Adtalem Global Education Inc. is up 11 cents. Those are some Betsy DeVos stocks right there.
And the parents may have to stay home. And if parents may have to stay home, won't go back to work. So that is also a prime...
Just parents stay home and won't go back to work. So, I mean, honestly...
A chat with you and somehow death loses its sting.
I'm not saying there aren't flaws to my entire concept.
Consideration. Look, if you're in a hot spot, you may have to defer the opening of the schools. The president...
Like, what hot spots? What are we talking about? What hot spots? Are you talking about, like, I'm going to throw this up, America?
Said that, sure. But by and large, in the next 12 months, as this virus passes through, as it will,
Oh, it's going to pass through. Oh.
Captain's log.
Got to get the kids to school. We got to keep businesses open. And so far, I might add, the economic numbers, with some small exceptions.
Some small exceptions. You mean like Texas? Oh, if I lived in Texas, I'd kick his ass right now, calling Texas a small exception.
From the Southwest, the economic numbers are still pretty good. I was hoping you'd ask.
Arizona, you guys are a small exception. How's that feel?
About that, Stu.
Well...
Holy shit, you're out of your mind. I'm just like to say that right now. Oh my God.
Shut up and never say anything again as long as you live.
Oh.
Why don't you tell us about those economic numbers that you...
Yeah, well, you pulled them out of your ass. You might as well wipe the shit off and read them to us.
Really want to tell us about it. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
I'm just dying to tell you about it. Before I wilt in this 95-degree weather. Let me say, it's my pleasure to come on always.
I couldn't be more happy, but the president makes me stand outside because gin gives me the wind, something terrible.
Let me just say this. So far, what we know, there's a huge housing boom, there's a retailing boom, there's an automobile boom.
No, there isn't. Everything is crashing. That's the boom you're hearing.
Trucking is still very strong.
Trucking is strong. Oh, all right. Yeah, why is trucking strong? Because Amazon, whose stock is really going up, you notice while education stocks are going up 6 cents, Amazon's at $3,000 a share right now. It's up 0.5 point just today. Gee, I wonder how Amazon gets its shit from where it's coming from and to your house. Yeah. This is one of those situations where trucking is up because everything else is down.
The equipment numbers today, the manufacturing equipment numbers, way up the chart, beating all expectations.
Yeah, people are ordering trucks and pallets and forklifts for all the future of living at home and having everything mailed there. The number of Postmate cars that are being designed.
We have had a jobs boom so far, and
we have not had a jobs nuke.
Contrary to some poor reading.
Jobs boom. Jesus Christ.
Unemployment claims and continuing claims are falling rapidly, and the July...
Yeah, people are being kicked off or running out.
Jobs number.
That's because a bunch of the states didn't extend it.
And unemployment and job increases, I think, is going to look pretty good. I'm not going to make forecasts, but it looks pretty good. Now,
I'm not going to make forecasts, but it looks pretty good. Okay, first of all, that's a forecast. Secondly, I'm going to hold you to that. He said it looks pretty good. Let's see how it looks if they don't get something passed in the House and Senate.
I will concede, because of what's happened in Texas and California and Florida, much less so. Arizona looks better. But
Yeah, Arizona looks way better.
Those big states, they're important states. We've seen restaurants go down, okay?
You mean close forever?
Mobility index for the Apple Travel Index has flattened out. It's not
Yeah. Nobody's mobile anymore.
falling, but the restaurants have gone down, and I think that is affected
in flames
by these three economic states. But let us not forget that the entire Northeast is wide open and recovering and opening businesses, and most of the Midwest.
And most of the Midwest is good happening. All right.
And especially the factory production and the manufacturing.
The factory production
plants are opening. So we're looking carefully at any, moderation in the story. I guess
that's what it's just moderations in the story. The number of dead Floridians.
And there will be some in July. But
oh, look, Google's up. Is everything Trump hates up right now? That might be a silver lining in the economic picture. We've been talking to the president. We thought we'd come out. We told him to come out and say that he hates the stock market, hoping that Democrats will pour a shit ton of money into it just to own him.
I think the V-shaped recovery and the 20% second half growth is still very much intact.
It's coming your way. Holy God. These guys live in a fantasy land. Honest to God, this is just embarrassing. We're gonna, by the way, I'm here every day, 3 o'clock, and we go through pretty much anything Trump says. He's been having these briefings, and the only days he doesn't have the briefings is when he's doing these like weird little fake rallies at businesses that support him in states that he won handily last time, that apparently he has to go and suck up to nonstop, or he's gonna lose them. Literally, that's why he's in North Carolina today. Understand? There's no ambiguity about this at all. Trump was expected to win North Carolina in a landslide, but his internal polling numbers, which he says are very good, show him losing the state, and he's freaking out. That's why they wanted to have the convention there in the first place, to draw attention and start to drive the vibe up and make other people feel like, well, the state's going to go that way anyways, for Trump, so why bother voting anyways? That kind of I'm in a red state, what difference does it make? Or I'm in a blue state, what difference does it make kind of attitude, which is totally out the window this time. If you vote in a state that's always goes red, your job as a voter is to chip away at the mandate. Do you win? Maybe not. But the difference between them winning by an 8% margin and a 1.5% margin will affect the way they vote when they get into Congress. That's for damn sure. But if you stay at home, they're going to go, no, most people are for me, the way I want to do things. I have a huge mandate. I won by 8%, even though they would have lost. The lazy vote has been counted on for a long time to soften the mandate, for everybody. So in North Carolina, there's this idea that if, they're losing it, but if he goes down there and he has the convention there, initially they were going to have it there, then the feeling in the state will be, well, it always goes red, and so it probably will this time, so why bother, endangering my life going out in a pandemic? And so he was hoping for having it there. Once they canceled it and they can just have the delegates there, they're going to use it as kind of a show. He'll probably go down there and have a little speech to the delegates thing that he'll hope the networks will air. But effectively, it's just to dampen the vote in North Carolina, make people think, well, he's going to run away with it, so why bother? So he shouldn't have to be doing that in North Carolina. A couple of glad-handing events down there should be plenty for him to win North and South Carolina. The idea that he has to spend time in there means that they are making soup in their underwear right now looking at these polls. They're starting to spend money. The RNC and the Trump campaign are spending money in Texas to keep it in their corner. If they're doing defense in states like Texas and North Carolina, they're in deep shit everywhere else. I don't care what fantasy he tells you about his poll numbers, but I don't know a single Democrat or somebody who's going to vote for Joe Biden or who's planning on voting against him that's going to go, well, my state normally, I don't know, sit back and knuckle crack. Like, there's no point where any of us are not going to vote this fall. Like, this is, talk about enthusiasms. The enthusiasm is to vote this dickhead out, and it's all over the place. Nobody's going to fall for that shit again, which is why they're having to do it. If everybody just voted their conscience, and right or left, Understand this. Right-wingers, there might be a blue state that should be purple because of the people who are there and they have a more conservative bent. But they don't bother to vote either because the state always goes blue and they pull back, in which case they get aggravated and angry at their fellow citizens because they don't participate, and then it goes the other way and they're like, see, it's all rigged, and they can bullshit themselves that it wasn't their lack of participation, it was just because the world's against them. And then they live in this militia-based prepper fantasy bullshit world where they can just gripe at the rest of the country all the time. Get up, vote your conscience, vote your beliefs, or shut the fuck up. Good God. Oh my God, Patricia, tornado warning, get in the basement. Good Lord, be safe. Other than that, I have no opinion. I don't care where you are in the political spectrum, and I mean this sincerely. And I know you're not used to hearing genuinely sincere things and having people mean it. But I want you to vote. If you're looking at the screen right now, or you've come across my page, or you've watched this show before and you're like, liberal scum, or whatever, your weird knee-jerk, like auto type that you have where you write stuff into a chat room and it auto-fills all kinds of expletives because you're used to doing this thing, you're in the wrong place. I want you to vote. I think you're an asshole, and I'll argue the politics of it till both of us are blue in the face, and hopefully not from COVID. But I want you to live, and I want you to vote, because the value and the power of our participatory democracy is if my ideas win on the intellectual exchange market, if we all hear them and we all agree this is a better path forward. Otherwise, I could be in a state that disagrees with me, but nobody's bothering to do anything. And that's not good for anybody. So stop believing all this bullshit that your country's full of deep state or CIA black site groups all the goddamn time. Stop buying all this Russian propaganda and Chinese propaganda and Saudi propaganda that your own government's the biggest evil in your frigging life. Count your frigging blessings, act like an adult, and be a goddamn citizen. Register to vote if you haven't already, and if you have, go to vote.org and make sure that your registration is complete and you know where your polling place is. And if you need one, and I recommend it, get a mail-in ballot for your own safety in case this thing hasn't blown over by November, which I doubt it will. And if you feel safe enough on the day, take your mail-in ballot, walk it right in. As soon as they start taking, in-person voting, if they have early voting in your state, walk that thing right in there, drop it on a desk, make sure it gets there. Or mail it, because the mail is a valuable part of our country. It is integral to how we became a great country. Stop shitting all over your flag. Christ. Other than that, I have no opinion. Yeah, so in our chat room, by the way, I want to say thanks for the new follows, though. And Bean Toes, thank you so much for the super chat. What happens if kids start getting sick in September? The kids getting sick is less of a concern because they do not have the arm part of their immune response overreact and kill them insofar as we know. There's other kinds of ancillary stuff. The concern is that they bring it everywhere else they go. And that you take them other places because, oh, you went to school today or you had school half the week, so we'll go for ice cream or we'll do something or we'll go through a drive-through, and they pass it because they reach up and touch somebody's hand and they're a little less aware than an adult would be. Or they give it to the teacher from the house, or the house doesn't believe that you need masks or whatever, and they'll send the kid to school with a mask, but they don't. The rest of the time, everybody in that house has it or carries it because they don't give a shit. That's the concern, I think, among other things. Thanks for the bits, Supercar Prince. And thanks for all the folks who are in Twitch today. How are you? Hi. I feel like I was blazing through the show today and I didn't say hi. I always feel that, though. I mean, it's constant now. It's definitely part of my daily response. Can't stop lying, you're wonderful. And Carl, thank you for splitting between work and this. I appreciate it. And thanks for the most part. I mean, we had a couple of Trump 2020 bots in the Facebook, but in general, people were getting their act together. And thanks for the subscription, George. There you go. I recommend that if you watch on Twitch to subscribe every month. If you have Amazon Prime, you can subscribe for free, and it supports the channel. It's another way that you can help us out. You can go to paypal.me/HalSparks and support with that, you know, with a one-time contribution. We're obviously looking for a whale. So all you Saudi princes who watch Twitch all the time, hit me up. Fire away. I'm not going to do, you know, episodes based on your requests. I think that's insane, but you know, I'll take the money and put it to good use, you know, kind of Robin Hood-esque, let's just say. Thank you, Kelly Bonvivant, and always glad to move on from comb over Caligula. Absolutely. Bunch of new followers today. That's really nice. Richard, always a pleasure. Thank you so much. Melinda Campbell, thank you. Mark Henry, thank you. Georgina, thank you. Christina F., thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Bronwyn Fox and Raphael and Brian, thank you so much. Bunch of new followers on there. And Richard Reed and L. Jones for the new Patreon pledges a couple days ago. I didn't see those when they went by the first time, so I wanted to make sure I mentioned them on here. Thank you guys so much. And for those of you that watch on Periscope or on Facebook, please hop over to the YouTube channel at infotainmentwars.com. Thank you, Amber Lassiter. Go to infotainmentwars.com, like and subscribe to the page. We're trying to, you know, raise our subscription. And I know my show is not built in a lot of ways for YouTube. It's a long form show. It's a couple hours long. It's every single day. And most of the stuff on YouTube are these 3 and 5 minute increment things, you know, that really catch kids' attention and then they move on. This is a long form piece. So it's harder for me to grow an audience, let's say, than it is for somebody who just puts up a 3-minute clip. I'm just saying. I understand that. I've got no illusions about that. I know it's going to take more time for people to recognize this show because of the length of it. I get it. And if you got a short attention span and you're only catching a little bit of this, hop on and hop off. Listen to it like a podcast later on. Even Joe Rogan didn't start growing until he started cutting little pieces of everything and basically, I guess, using, I think these were like cutting his little gish gallops into smaller slices. So, anyways, while you can, like and subscribe to the show. Appreciate it. I like you guys jumping in here. It's really nice to see. Thanks to everybody who's watching as well. And I'm avoiding putting T-Rump's name in the titles of my videos because of how it gets flagged on YouTube when you do that, or how the Facebook gods dump all the bots into my feed when they see that. Thanks for the subscription. Appreciate it, JMC. 2 months. Look at that. At tier 1. Thanks for the second one. I appreciate that. It's nice. I'm glad you guys stick around. When your month sub is up, go to your Prime and use your freebie. That's right. Thank you, Nika Creekles, for reminding everybody how it works. Because I'm new to that stuff, too. I don't even understand how the bits and stuff work quite yet. But I did get a t-shirt from Streamlabs because of all the chat I have going on. That was kind of incredible. That was my first... Guys, I have to say, that was a milestone. We cracked 10,000 on YouTube. That took us about a year because of the length of my show. But once we did that, it's been growing ever since. And, everybody has their eye on that first, YouTube 100,000 subscriber button thing that they mail you out of the blue or whatever. But Streamlabs sent me a t-shirt because of the number of, alerts that I get like that. They're like, you got a shit ton of alerts, pal. Here's a t-shirt. So, yeah, 310 Patreon supporters. We're looking for 500. If it interests you at all, go to patreon.com/HalSparks and become a supporter. Help the show out. Help us grow. At 500, we can afford a producer. Until then, we're just scraping by on our own. So I appreciate it, you guys. How do the t-shirts work on YouTube? Yeah, there's a link below. There's a Teespring just below us on the YouTube site where you can buy t-shirts and that kind of stuff. And they just, I get a little piece of that. I got to be honest, though, those shirts are fine, but the Streamlabs shirts are better over at Twitch. I like the design and the quality better because I've ordered them from a bunch of different sites. And I haven't built a lot of merch in my life because I just don't like the quality. I have a quality issue. Oh, there's a hype train coming over there. It's Twitch, you guys. I'm going to have to start gaming again soon. Right now, I spend most of my time gaming with my kid, and he doesn't, I don't want him online because he's 9, streaming. So we keep him off the screen as much as possible because he's 9. Yeah. There's a lot of weirdos in the world, as you do. But thanks, Robert Perry. I appreciate that. On Twitch Prime. Nice. So, anyways, hype train, do it. I don't know how that works. I'm going to pretend I know. Hype train. So, anyways, so I do most of my gaming with him, and it's private dad-kid playtime, you know, when he likes to game on stuff. So, but he'll be going back to school soon. When he's doing that, then I'll be doing more gaming on my Twitch channel, just game stuff. So you guys are wonderful. I appreciate the support. I'm glad you're here every day. I will see you guys tomorrow, regular time, 3 o'clock, and we'll get through this. That's all we're doing. We'll get through this. Keep your humor. Only worry about the things that you have direct control over and do the best you can every day, and it will make you feel a lot better. Your anxiety goes out the window when you stop worrying about shit you have no control over and taking full grasp of the reins that are right in front of you. Do some exercise, do some yoga, drink some water, eat as well as you possibly can, treat your body with respect, and clean your brain of all the hate and conflict that's poured into it every single day. So and if well, not everybody can handle all this, well, fine, be the one who can. There's tons of people out there who can't handle this and are freaking out with anxiety and all kinds of stuff. That's fine. That's not you. That's other people. We need you operating at the best possible level to get through this, maintain your humor, understand that political arguments are not arguments with an enemy, and pacing yourself as you go through this. And understand that nobody gets to skip history. You're going to make it. Thank you, Tia. Appreciate it. Absolutely. And so take care of yourself, take care of somebody else, and as Can't Stop Lying always reminds us, reach out to someone who's on the periphery of your friends and that outer acquaintance, or somebody that you know deeply, and let them know you love them. That's never wasted effort, not ever. And we'll get through this, and we'll keep a smile on our face, and we'll look back on these days and go, that was insane. Count your blessings. Thank you, John. Appreciate it. Sultan, I can do that for you. Hold on one second. Sultan! All right. How do we support on PayPal? Thanks, Kate. You go to paypal.me/HalSparks, and that should do it. It pops up on the screen occasionally somewhere. I think I do. Oh, it's on the front, the ending page. Good call. Way to bring it up at the last. Yes, we should fart more. That definitely helps. I feel better. Ew. These are the things you got to remember. It's the small things in life that give you joy. So take care of yourself and take care of somebody else, and I'll see you tomorrow, guys. You guys are awesome. Cheers.
Let me put it this way, Mr. Raymer. The 9000 series is the most reliable computer ever made. No 9000 computer has ever made a mistake or distorted information. We are all, by any practical definition of the words, foolproof and incapable of error.
Did you have a shade?
I know he can get the job, but can he do the job?
Man, you are one pathetic loser.
I'd like to kick his ass just once. Gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room.
Would you classify that as a launch problem or a design problem?
Beef jerky? Oh, no, son. Thank you very much. No, it gives me the wind. Something terrible.
Oh.
Sorry, I farted.
The golden rule. He who has the goal makes the rule.
Guy talk!
Would you... I was thinking of the immortal words of Socrates, who said... I was thinking of the immortal words of Socrates, who said...
Did you have a shade?
Groovy.
I'm just a happy camper. I'm a land farmer, motherfucker!
Hail to the king, baby.
It's good to be the king.
I'm dead sexy.
It's good to be the king.
Groovy.
Person, woman, man, camera, TV. If you get it in order, you get extra points. A lot of very bad things are happening in Nicaragua. Person, woman, man. And you know, when you say per capita, there's many per capitas. It's like per capita relative to what? If you get it in order, you get extra points. We're honored to have with us today our amazing Vice President, Mike Pence, and his wonderful wife, Karen. A lot of very bad things are happening in Nicaragua.
I never thought anybody could forget so much so fast without a severe blow to the head.
I got news for you, pal. You ain't leading but two things right now. Jack and shit. Jack left town.
We have that. It's as wide as it can be.
I'm a dude playing a dude disguised as another dude.
Captain's log. Captain's log. Captain's log.
Person, woman, man.
Captain's log.
Camera, TV.
Dr. Evil, I didn't spend 6 years in evil medical school to be called Mr. Thank you very much.
Nice. Nice. Not thrilling, but nice.
Call me Snake. Call me Snake. Call me Snake.
Did you have shade?
I think there's some kind of deviated prevert.
He's you real nice. If I didn't have puke breath, I'd kiss you.
I am your father, Luke. Give in to the dark side of the Force, you nap.
Am I getting through to you? Over!
I never realized how much my advice could hurt people until my advice hurt me.
Just follow the money.
The sportos, the motorheads, geeks, sluts, bloods, wastoids, dweebies, dickheads, they all adore him. They think he's a righteous dude.
Something strange happened to me this morning. Was it a dream where you see yourself standing in sort of sun god robes on a pyramid with 1,000 naked women screaming and throwing little pickles at you? No. Why am I the only person that has that dream?
He thinks I made it up.
Unbelievable.
Stop breaking the law, asshole!
We've got entirely too many troublemakers here.
Stop breaking the law, asshole!
So that's the kind of fight it's gonna be.
Heat! Pants! Now!
It's not Irish. It's not English.
Oh, yeah. Fair difference in the kindness with the horses, you know.
It's just, well, it's just pikey.
Wah-wah-wee-wah!
Take off, eh?
You are physically repulsive, intellectually retarded, vulgar, insensitive, selfish, stupid. You have no taste, a lousy sense of humor, and you smell.
I couldn't think of a more horrible job if I wanted to.
and you have to do it.
So that's the kind of fight it's gonna be. I'm dead sexy.
Did you hear that?
Yeah. It's a dick for.
What's a dick for?
To pee with.
A chat with you and somehow death loses its sting.
What do you say we cut the chit-chat? A-hole! Butthole!
Person, woman, man, camera, TV.
I love Leia. We need you. Hell, I need you. I'm a mess without you. I miss you so damn much. I miss being with you. I miss being near you. I miss your laugh. I miss your scent. I miss your musk. When this all gets sorted out, I think you and me should get an apartment together.